So what are we doing? This year, one of NCW's key motions in the stand against violence against women is putting pressure on the UK government to ratify what is known as the Istanbul Convention. This was proposed initially by my colleague Helena, who will now explain what this is and what it means.
Thank you, Amy. Hi everybody, I'm Helena. I'm a master's student at the University of Cambridge. I first got involved with NCW when I was 16, and then I joined NCW when I started university. So today I'm going to speak to you about the resolution that I proposed to annual conference this year, which is about ratifying the Council of Europe Convention on Preventing and Combating Violence Against Women and Domestic Violence. That's the Istanbul Convention for short. Now, a convention is a formal agreement between states, and the Istanbul Convention is a legally binding one overseen by the Council of Europe. The Council of Europe is unrelated to the EU. It's an international organisation founded in 1949 to uphold human rights, democracy and the rule of law in Europe. Now, Amy spoke to you about some of the horrifying facts illuminating just how prevalent violence against women is across the globe. The good news is that the Istanbul Convention has great potential to help. It's been termed the gold standard approach to tackling violence against women by many non-governmental organisations. But whilst the UK government signed the convention on the 8th of June 2012, now, 8 years later, it still hasn't been ratified. In other words, it still isn't officially valid. The government has told us that in most respects, the UK already complies with or goes further than the convention. And it's true that the government is making progress, for example with the domestic abuse bill. However, the government's own annual reports on progress towards ratification reveal where women and girls still aren't being fully protected, and therefore why the convention can't yet be ratified. The lack of support for migrant victims of domestic abuse is a key concern, and the convention can't be ratified until these women are better protected, because the Istanbul Convention requires services and support for survivors to be non-discriminatory without regard to residency or immigration status. However, refugees in the UK are often forced to turn away some women on particular visas. This is because refugees usually depend financially on getting government housing benefit payments. People who are on certain visas have what's called no recourse to public funds, meaning they're ineligible for these benefits. Shelters therefore can't afford to take them. Worse still, migrant women can have their immigration status weaponised against them by their abusers, and may fear approaching authorities for fear they'll be detained, deported or be separated from their children. There are also few shelters dedicated for the specific needs of some women. In May 2019, Women's Aid found that there were only 418 dedicated shelter spaces across England for BAME women. Only 12 for women with learning disabilities, only 4 for women over 45, and none for deaf women. What's more, most of those that do exist are concentrated in London alone. In passing this resolution, we identify steps needed to be taken in order for the Istanbul Convention to finally be ratified, and for the UK to offer better protection to women. Specific instructions must be issued in England and Ireland for local authorities to ensure safe shelter to all those with no recourse to public fund status, as has already been done in Wales and Scotland. The government have just started a new pilot scheme to support these women and is using it to collect data as it formulates a long-term policy response. We'll be watching how this develops, and we'll be asking the government to implement a long-term plan as soon as possible. We're also asking the government to ensure that language barriers don't prevent information on support from reaching victims by including messaging in more languages. It's vital that the Istanbul Convention is ratified at this time of global pushback, when countries such as Turkey or Poland may be withdrawing from it. Ratifying a convention targeted specifically at preventing violence against women and domestic abuse would not only bring practical change and better protect women, it would also be a symbolic action, which would demonstrate the UK's commitment for the international community to see, and help to continue the country's conversation on ending violence against women.